my name is Allison. I'm the Programs, Outreach, and Youth Services Manager here at Monterey County Free Libraries. Thank you for joining me for another Self-Care Sunday. I thought that it had been a while since we had done an artsy type creative project, so that was what I wanted to do today. And I thought we would take it way back to our youth and make friendship bracelets. I know that right now a lot of us haven't seen our friends or maybe even our family for a while. So I thought this would be a nice thing that you could make and maybe send in the mail to someone, or you can keep for yourself or give to someone in your household, or just have fun making it and do nothing with it in the end. But it's something that I really enjoyed making when I was in middle school and high school. I used to pass these out a lot. They're pretty easy to make, and recently another library, the Redwood City Public Library, was doing a program where they were doing friendship bracelet making for adults, and it made me think it would be a great thing to share with all of you. So thank you, Redwood City Public Library, for the idea. So to get started, what you're going to need for this project, the main thing is you're going to need embroidery floss. So I went into the garage and found my stash of embroidery floss from when I used to make these all the time. I have a bunch of different colors. Embroidery floss can be found at craft stores. They come in packs like this, and then once you've unraveled it and used some like me, they become little wads. So you can get whatever colors you want to use. For this project, you're going to need 4 colors. There are lots of different ways to make friendship bracelets. The way that I'm going to show you today is the most basic way to do it, so we're not going to get into any sort of fancy patterns. I will point out while we're doing it that you can slip beads in pretty easily. It does change the length of the embroidery floss that you'll need, but I'll get into that a little bit later. So for this project, you're going to need to pick out 4 colors of embroidery floss. You can do repeat colors, so let's say you wanted to have your bracelet be pink and blue. You could do 2 pink, 2 blue. It's just if you've never made one before, it can get a little hard to keep track of the colors. So if this is your first time making one, it's probably best to pick 4 different colors. But if you've made them before, then you're probably not gonna watch this whole video. But if you want to do the same colors, that's fine. It's all up to you and whatever you think will work best. You're also going to need scissors just to cut at the beginning, and a tape measure or a ruler to measure out the length of your embroidery floss. Then you're gonna need something to hold down the embroidery floss while you're doing the knots and the braids. So, you know, back in Girl Scout camp, we would pin them to our jeans and have it there. I like to use a clipboard, so I just put the top knot under the top part of the clipboard. You just want something that's going to hold it down while you're pulling. So once you have all of those supplies, you are going to take your embroidery floss and you are going to cut 25 inches worth of floss. Now that's kind of a base starter measurement. I have very small wrists, so you might need to adjust a little bit depending on how big your wrists are or how big the wrists of the person that you are making the bracelet for is. So, you know, give or take, but you're gonna want to start somewhere in that range. So I'm going to go ahead and pick my colors and cut my floss, and then I will show you what to do next. Just a quick note, I went back and looked at the floss that I was sent from the Redwood City Public Library, and their measurement was 32 inches, so that's probably a more standard size for adults. Like I said, I have really, really small wrists, and I'm still working off of the mental instructions that I have from when I was 12. So you might want to go with 32 inches instead of what I had previously said, unless you also have tiny wrists or are making yours for a child. So once you have all your colors, I picked green, yellow, white, and pink. You want to get them so all of the ends are together at one part, and you're just going to tie a basic knot into the top. So you do want it to be, you want to have a little bit extra room because you're just going to tie a knot up in the top, and that's going to be some of the extra, and this is going to be where you start your bracelet. So once you have your knot, you're gonna go ahead, if you're using a clipboard like me, you're gonna just stick the knot right at the top of the clipboard. You wanna make sure that if you're pulling, it stays put. You can always reinsert it, but it's very distracting if you're right in the middle of a knot and you pull and the whole thing comes out. So I am going to readjust my camera angle and then I will show you how to start making the knots. So once you are ready to get braiding, you are going to work with one string as the string that gets passed along the other three at a time, and then they will rotate through. So I'll show you what I mean. It's one of those things you kind of have to watch and get into the hang of it. But you're gonna work 2 strings at a time, working from the left to the right. So this is gonna be the main string here in my left hand, and this is gonna be the string that I'm wrapping around in my right hand. So you'll take this string and you're gonna pass it over the top of the yellow string, so pink over the top, so that you have like this. So the pink is over the top. You're just creating a series of simple knots. So you're gonna pass the pink string under the yellow string, pull it through. You wanna hold the yellow string very tightly as you wrap the pink string up to create a little knot. And you're gonna do that twice. Then you're gonna put the yellow string aside and you're gonna pass the pink string back to your left hand and take the green string now, or whatever color you're using, into your right hand, and you're gonna do the same thing. So pink over the top, wrap it around, pull it through, pull for a knot, and then one more time. And you'll put the green string aside, and you'll move on to the white string in your right hand and the pink string in your left hand. And again, you're going to wrap the pink string over and pull through to make a little knot, pull the way up, and do it twice through. And then as you can see, now the pink string is over here and we have the yellow string on the left-hand side to work with. So this one is gonna be the yellow string is now gonna be the one that gets wrapped through, and you can see very, very small at the top that you're starting to make a little diagonal pattern with the pink. So we're going to take the yellow now, wrap it over so you can see that it's wrapped over. Then you're gonna wrap it under the green, through, and create a knot. And then once more, put the green aside. Now we're on to the white. Trying to make sure I'm doing this on camera. Pull through, pull through, and like I said, this is just to create the most basic pattern. So you'll see now at the top, you can see that we're starting to get this little diagonal pattern. This bracelet won't be very thick either, so you can always add more colors, more strings if you want. It just takes a little bit longer to create, and that will create a wider bracelet. So this one, if we're using my scrunchies and bracelets and Fitbit as comparison, this one's probably going to be a little bit thicker, tiny bit than this hair tie here. If you added more colors, you could get it to be the width of my Fitbit band. So it just depends on how much time you want to spend on it and how thick you want it to be. So now our green string is over here on the far left. So we're going to wrap on top and then under, pull through to create a little knot. Make sure you do it twice. So there we go. We see that it's starting to take shape. We have 3 colors now. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the white. Oops. I've been doing these, like I said, since I was 11 or 12, and I just turned 32. So I've been doing them, let's say, for 20 years. So I have my own kind of hand patterns and ways that I hold the string. I learned from looking in one of those klutz activity books. So I learned from pictures, and then I've started customizing the way that I do it. But to be honest, I've never moved beyond this very basic pattern. It's a fun activity to do while you're watching the TV or, you know, just relaxing outside or something like that. Once you get the hang of it, it can be pretty meditative because it's a little mindless and you get into this pattern zen trance of doing the knots. Now we've done all the colors. So you can see that we have a row of each color. I mentioned earlier that you could customize this by adding on beads. I will say that that will change the length of whatever thread you slip the bead on. So let's say I were to put, I don't have a bead on hand, but let's say I were to put a bead on this yellow string. You're gonna lose, you know, 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, however big your bead is. You're gonna lose that much space. So at the very end, your yellow might be a different length, and that will affect the overall length of your bracelet. So you just wanna keep that in mind. But to do that, all you would do if you wanted to add in a bead is you would just slip it on to the very end of whichever string and then pull it up and then wrap the knots around it just like you would if there wasn't anything there, and the knots will help hold the bead in place. So I've done that before. I've put people's names into the bracelet with letter beads and all sorts of other things. So there's really a ton of stuff that you can do with it once you get comfortable. So I've done it a few times through now, and you can really see the pattern developing. I always try, if I have to take a break or, you know, walk away for a second, I always try to make sure that I end with the starter color on the left-hand side. It helps to, I mean, you can see the pattern, but it just helps me remember where I am, and, you know, I won't have to think, oh, was I in the middle of a knot? Do I need to do another one on this end? So it just helps me if I need to take a pause to end with my starter color on the left-hand side. I hope that you will enjoy making your own friendship bracelets. As you can see, I still have a lot more to do on mine, so I think this is going to become a movie night project while I watch some movies later this evening and finish this one off. If you decide to make one, which I hope that you do, I would love to know which colors you picked, so let us know in the comments. If you don't have embroidery floss at home, which is understandable, like I said, you can get it at craft stores, but you could also use yarn or any type of thicker thread, or, you know, any crafting string that you have. I've done one with yarn before. Sometimes it's a little bit easier because it's thicker, so you can practice that way to build up the knots. It's just gonna create a thicker bracelet. These ones are fairly waterproof, but yarn, it'll get damp and kind of icky, so just be aware of that. And I hope that you have a great rest of your Sunday. I hope that this is relaxing and meditative for you. I know it is for me. Even while I was doing it right now, I started zoning out and got in the mood and was just pew, 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 going through those knots. I hope that you have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.